Hello and welcome to the Global DIY Network and to this, my 9th interview in the series of Meet the CEOs of the leading home improvement companies from around the world. My name is John Herbert and I'm the General Secretary of EDRA, the European DIY Retail Association, and of GIN, the Global Home Improvement Network. Together, these two associations have 215 members operating all around the world in 74 countries with over 32,000 stores, and our members' sales in excess of 310 billion euro. I would now like to welcome all those people following this interview today, wherever you may be. It's 6 o'clock in the morning in Lima. It is 7 o'clock in Atlanta. Here in Europe, it's about lunchtime. In Russia, it's in the afternoon. And in Asia and in Australia, it is evening. And in New Zealand, it's time to go to bed, but just wait for the 1 hour before you do so. So it's a great pleasure for me and a great honor that I'm going to interview the CEO today. This is my 9th CEO interview, and I've interviewed the CEOs from Germany, South Africa, Ireland, Australia, Norway, Japan, Sweden, and Peru. And today, it is the United Kingdom, the #1 home improvement company and the CEO. It is also the 4th largest home improvement company in the world. Therefore, it is a great pleasure and indeed an honor to now introduce the CEO. He's a Frenchman, Mr. Thierry Garnier. Thank you. Thierry.
Thank you very much, John. And I think you say it's an honor. I think it's an honor for me to be with you and to be with all of you today. I know many suppliers, many retailers, many friends around the world working in home improvement are connected, and it's really a pleasure to be with you. Well, I would be rather short about my introduction of Kingfisher. You know, Kingfisher is a British company listed in London, the FTSE 100. We are operating in 8 European countries. We have 80,000 colleagues across Europe, with very well-known brands like B&Q, Screwfix, TradePoint as well in the UK, a brand we forget. We are operating Castorama, Brico Dépôt in France. We are operating in Poland, in Romania, in Spain, in Portugal, in Turkey as well. And we have recently signed a franchise agreement in the Middle East. So this is our perimeter. And again, John, very happy to be with you this morning or this afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, you've been very busy here, but before we start the questions, I'd like to just ask you maybe a bit of a personal question. You were 22 years with Carrefour. You were the leader of all the supermarkets in France for a while. You were 7.5 years the CEO of Asia, with over 55,000 employees in 350 stores. And now you find yourself in home improvement. Was that a culture shock, or how did you manage this big change?
Well, I think on one side, I like to learn. So probably, I think it's good for all of us to keep learning. I think retail is retail. I've spent over 20 years in food retail, and when you like people, when you like colleagues, when you like walking in stores, understanding how to operate better, how the customers are changing, how you can constantly adjust your operations to the customer behaviors. We are all discussing digital, online, supply chain, private label. We are all working on brands, and Kingfisher has many brands. But at the same time, I'm learning. I'm still learning. I think home improvement is another field. I'm learning as well because Kingfisher is a listed company in London, and that's you have all the governance to follow, and I think it's very interesting and very powerful.
Yeah, well, amazing what you've been doing. We will talk about that a little bit later on, but I'd like to start what I always start with. You've got 1,380 stores. You're operating in 8 countries. You were only there, I think, 3 months or 4 months, and then we had this the pandemic came. So I think the first question is, how are you really coping with the pandemic, and what effect has it had on your business?
Yeah, thank you, John. I think last year we were started in March. In fact, the first country to really face a very strong lockdown in France for us was France, and then Poland and Spain and then the UK. I think at that time nobody really knew what was how this virus was spreading, we could protect our staff, how we could protect the customers. So at the beginning, even though our stores were considered as essentials, we decided to close our store for a few weeks in France and in the UK. And really the decision was made in order to protect our staff, to support the countries where we were. And so we started end of March 2020 with more or less pure online operation in all our UK operation and in all our French operation. It was a painful decision at that time to take, but I think it was a good decision. And after a while, after a few weeks, when we were organized, when we understood how to operate safely the store, we had to buy PPE to protect the staff. We reopened the store. First, you remember in the UK with a lot of let's say newspaper report around B&Q reopening, and then in France, and therefore really the safety of our staff and customer was the first priorities.
Yeah, I think this went very, very well down in the UK, because although you could open, the home improvement stores closed till you got the safety measures in place, which I think was a very good thing for Image. And of course, ever since, you've been considered to be essential retailing. We're hearing now that there are shortages of supplies in some areas. Raw materials are rare. How is that affecting the business today? Are you managing to get all the supplies you need, or?
Well, you're right that we know, all of us, we know that there are tension, on some raw material, on timber, even on copper, on steel, and we have as well some tension on the transportation. And we know to find containers, to transport goods, the price of the containers are under pressure. But I must say, and probably you have many of Kingfisher suppliers around this call, we are engaging very well with our suppliers, be it in Asia or in Europe. We have been very proactive, in forecasting. We have a kind of weekly crisis committee to deal with the forecast, the refresh of the forecast, and I would say so far we are in a rather good place.
Mm-hmm. One of the positive things that's come out of this corona that we're reading about, people were saying that the younger people are not taking any interest in home improvement. But I think this lockdown has changed that. And keeping all over the world, people are saying that the young millenniums, the younger people, 18 to 34, they really are discovering home improvement as such. Have you experienced that as well?
Yes, John, it's a great point. I think we have run many surveys, and probably with like many of the retailers today, we have run surveys, extensive surveys, in all our countries, and indeed we are finding many new DIYers for all the reasons we know, and especially what I feel very interesting is the younger generation, and the 18 to 34 years old. Are coming to DIY, many of them saying we did DIY for the first time. In fact, to give you precise figures, in the last survey we did earlier this year, for this 18-34 years old age group, we had 20% of them. They said it's the very first time they did DIY in their life, and 55% of them that they did more DIY than ever before. So I think it's very interesting, and we believe it's one of the new supportive trends in our industry for the future.
Yes, I find that very encouraging, of course. And you mentioned that before that the home has become our hub. We're not only living there, we're entertaining, we're also, it's a classroom, yeah, it's a place for exercise. So it's been used for many things. I think the younger people have discovered rediscovered the homes again. Do you believe is that a bit of a trend, do you think? Have they rediscovered their homes in the UK, or is it because they couldn't do anything else, probably?
Well, there are two things. I think the reason, well, we all can analyze the past. I think the reason why probably there have been such demand is first the time that people spend at home, a lot of time, they had available time. In many situations, they had as well available money, available resources because they have been saving. Sometimes they have to reorganize their space because of working from home. And as well, sometimes it was the only available leisure. So that's the origin of this change. Mm-hmm. But now you have more DIYer. And what is key in this business is they learn new skills. For the first time they started a project, they learn new skills. And sometimes they did a second one. And in our surveys, it's very interesting to see that they enjoyed it as a leisure. So I think, yes, I believe part of it will stay with us. Maybe not all of it, but usually when I talk to markets or to media and to investors, I would say there's two things I think that will stay with us. The first one is more working from home. We can't predict, is it more one day, more half a day, more 2 days? It could be different by countries. But we'll have more working from home in the future. And this is very supportive for the home improvement. And the second one is the point you just mentioned, which is new DIYer, learning new skills and enjoying DIY.
Mm-hmm. During this pandemic, the heroes, I think, are the frontline workers. We've heard about the healthcare, but I think the shopkeepers, the people in the stores, and I think the home improvement has really been a shining example of the way that the stores were safe to go into, the people were there. So how have your associates at Kingfisher responded to the pandemic?
Well, I would say we have been very lucky. I think we have absolutely great teams everywhere, very engaged. In stores, in all our head offices. So I think personally, I've been in retail for over 20 years, but I was really impressed and happy to see the reaction of all the teams in every country. I think what this crisis obliges us to do, and probably we started slightly before the pandemic, is to be a little bit more, I would say, comfortable with uncertainty. We could discuss that later on, but I think to accept that there is uncertainty, that we need to be agile and to adjust probably every day. And I think it brought a lot of pace, speed, dynamism to everyone, and it's very important to keep this spirit today.
Indeed. And the pandemic, of course, has triggered an online sales boom. And I know you were extremely active. I think overnight you had 6,000 articles and you could get them. Could you tell us a little bit more how you reacted to this that we heard about?
Yeah, it's a small story we discussed together a few months ago. I would say, as I mentioned previously, we have decided to close our store at the start of the pandemic and to move to pure online operation. But to gain back the flexibility to scale up the number of orders, we moved back massively to store picking. In fact, we started to do experiments before the COVID crisis last year in February, and hopefully we were ready for a series of tests. And therefore, we massively shifted our e-commerce operation to store picking as a priority. And that's something I learned from China, a few years ago, earlier than the rest of the world in Asia. A lot of retailers, they push very far the the way you can use a store for stock picking. Probably a few years ago when you were in Europe, when you say, well, I prepare 20 orders per day, it was probably the maximum before we reach the chaos. And probably the best store in China today are able to prepare 10,000 orders a day, which even for today, for a European business seems totally crazy. But you have some stores in the world that are organized with dark store, with specific operation to prepare up to 10,000 orders a day. Obviously, we are not at this level, but it shows how far we can go in the efficiency of the stock picking operation. So because we rely fully or with a great focus on stock picking, we have been able to flex our operation, because at the peak in the summer 2020, we were able to prepare 1.5 million orders per week, which is, I will not give you a benchmark, but which is pretty good number. I think even looking at other businesses like food retail, 1.5 million orders a week is already a good figure.
I think the main thing is the speed that you went about this, but I think you learned this in China, that the speed of the e-commerce is just amazing in China, and that we've got a lot to learn from them in there.
Yeah, I think you're right. There is something around e-commerce. There is as well something around the management. I think everybody agree to go fast. You said people around the table, everybody want to go fast. But the consequence of going fast is you have to accept that probably you will have more mistakes, that it won't be perfect. And even if I go one step further, you should not target the perfection from day one. I believe that perfection is very dangerous. It's always true, but it's even more dangerous when you are in crisis time. So you should, and personally, it's something I'm taking really care of, because I have an engineering background, so I am made to do something 100% perfect, and that's very dangerous when you are a manager, and especially in a crisis time. So I think what China helped me to understand is we don't need to be already 100% before we start. We have to start, even if you are already at 70%, you have to go and to start fast, because it will help you to learn. Maybe you will discover the 30% remaining. In fact, you never need to do it. And it pushes everyone to go faster. So this topic around speed for me is more something around how you manage your expectation around being 100% perfect, or giving the priority to speed over this kind of perfection. I think it's very interesting in a crisis environment. And overall, I think the world now is like that.
Indeed. I mean, speed. I just only read yesterday that the Home Depot are now supplying 90% of all their customers. They can supply them the same day or the next day. And that's astonishing when you think. So this pandemic has really moved people on when it comes to speed. So I read also that you've had 10 million new customers online, and your percentage of your sales are about 18% today. So how do you see that going forward? Do you think it's going to increase, or are we going to see, is it going to go back?
No, I think it should continue to increase. I think obviously you have some challenges linked to some of the categories of home improvement. Obviously it's more difficult to sell kitchen or to sell bulk heavy material online. But overall, I think this online participation will continue to increase. Looking forward, everybody will have more ideas, more practices, in order to make stock picking more efficient, to have the fulfillment center for the right categories, for the right customer proposition. There are a lot of ideas that around the world, as well around last mile delivery. So all that combined together, I think that this proportion will continue to increase.
But Kingfisher's got 1,380 physical stores. Will you still need those in the future?
Yeah, we strongly believe that we probably need more stores, but we probably need smaller stores. So I don't think the number of stores is the topic, is the issue, is more the space. Probably some of our stores are overspaced. But our vision is more to have more stores and to have every store as an e-commerce click and collect or picking point or dark store. And I feel this is a trend. We have a trend around smaller formats. And I think we have a trend around speed around e-commerce. Just to come back to your question around speed, the younger generation is not patient. Is looking at TikTok. It's 50-second small videos. The younger generation, they want to be delivered home within 30 minutes. And all this rush for short speed will impact our businesses.
This is not very European. You've seen it in China. I was in America, and I remember spending 2 days at the Home Depot talking about the concept for the year 2021. And when we'd finished after two days, the CEO said, well, gentlemen, when are you going to communicate that to your 400,000 people? And he said, don't look at your calendar, look at your watch. And I thought that really got the message over very well. So it's been a very exciting journey on the online, and it's going to continue. And I think all the CEOs I've spoken to up to now, they've all agreed that they don't think that the physical, they all think that they'll need the physical space going forward. And particularly as fulfillment centers, because Amazon don't have that. My wife gets so annoyed having to wait in for somebody to deliver, where it's nice, you can just go to a store and pick it up and come back. You don't have to wait. And so this is certainly an advantage. I'd like to come to another theme now, which is Brexit. I mustn't be political here. I was terribly disappointed that UK decided upon Brexit. I saw all the things that I didn't really believe in, but there we are, it's happened. But as a pan-European retailing, what has the impacts of Brexit been on your business?
To make it short, to be simple, there today we are not impacted by Brexit. We have been preparing ourselves since 2016, with regular committees that have been working with our suppliers, have been talking to how we manage the ports and the deep sea ports in the UK. For example, we have enlarged the number of ports we were using to import our goods. We have worked with the British Customs to have faster processes very early on the journey. And I would say today, obviously, we have sometimes some, let's say, minor issues, minor delays, but it's not really an important topic for us.
So really minor problems, not major problems.
Yeah. Correct, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let us just now move on to another one, which I know that Kingfisher has been very strong for many, many years, and that is corporate social responsibility. And as I say, I think Kingfisher for many years has been quite a role model. So the first thing, of course, is climate change. It's so very serious, and I still don't think that people have really see it quite as serious enough. So what is Kingfisher doing to tackle the climate change?
Yeah, thank you, John. There are two areas, I think, on which we are working. The first one is about wood and forest. In fact, very, very early, starting from 1991, already Kingfisher was one of the pioneers of the sustainable sourcing of wood. I think B&Q, even I checking my notes, B&Q has been signing a first responsible timber policy in 1991. And then Kingfisher has been one of the founding partners of the FSC, the Forest Stewardship Council, in 1993. So very early, Kingfisher has been working hard on making gradually all his wood and paper sourcing sustainable. I would say we are not at 100% today, but we are very close to 100%, and we are progressing every year. And this is our target, to reach 100% wood and paper sourced sustainably very soon in the coming years. The second area is around indeed climate and global warming. Very early as well, Kingfisher has made commitment. We were recently on a 2-degree global warming commitment. And because the ongoing action plan are doing well, and because we felt it was important, we have decided to increase the amount of capex slightly allocated to this, to have an additional action plan so that we could move from 2 degree to 1.5 degree, which is exactly the Paris Summit agreement. So I think it's very important for us, and we have dedicated action on store, on our logistic to be able to maintain, let's say, the company global warming trajectory below 1.5 degree.
It would be very good if all the home centers in the world really faced this problem and did the same again. I think it's such a very serious problem that it would be very good if we could unite on this point and improve that. Talking about the own label or your own exclusive brands, what part do they play in the corporate social responsibility and in product trends? I know you've got 44% of total sales are with these, your exclusive brands. That's an amazing capital, I would have thought. And I believe that this is an area which has been a little bit neglected by a lot of the big companies in the past.
But you're right that when it's your own product, it's obviously easier or more important to, let's say, to bring sustainable products in our stores. So we are as well working hard so that a large majority of our private label, they are all sustainable, are sustainable in our internal, let's say, classification. Means many things. Could be energy saving products, could be even some products saving water. You know, we build taps that can save a large quantity of waters. You have a product made of recycled material. You have product that help you to recycle yourself. So a lot of different categories of products that we qualify internally as green. Probably we are not perfect, and we can do better on this field. And so we have planned to continue to increase the proportion of sustainable or green private label inside our portfolio.
Yeah, I think this is very good, but I would also like to recognize that the brands play a very major role in the customer confidence, and it's the blend. I think it's very important to sell the top brands. I know there was a certain time where some retailers didn't sell the top brands, and I think you shouldn't dictate to the customer, and I think this is very, very important.
Maybe, John, let me just comment on that, because I think it's one of the, discussion we had in the past, I think, between suppliers and Kingfisher. So maybe it's a good opportunity for me to mention that. And I think we absolutely need brands. We need to find a good balance between private label and brands, and for some categories, we are dealing with absolutely fantastic partners. They have R&D center, they have innovation, they have not only great brands, but a lot of additional ideas. And I do not believe that a retailer alone can have all the ideas, all the innovation. And we absolutely consider that having partners and suppliers that bring you outstanding product and R&D new ideas are critical. Even I would say more than that. I believe in a kind of open ecosystem. I don't believe you are smart alone. In many ways, we consider we are smarter when we trust partners. Another one or two examples I want to give you. In B&Q today, we are having a partnership with a company called Speedy Hire. That is a company that provides a tool hire. So, we welcome them in our store, and they are, we have a kind of agreement, cooperation, obviously, but we don't need to do everything ourselves. We can rely on partners to bring these kind of services. Recently, we have opened B&Q Shop in the Shop inside Asda stores. Again, it's another way to to be open. And so it's very important that for me that we are able to find the right balance between having a great private label, especially for some category like showroom, and to have a fantastic cooperation with international vendors that are critical to us.
That's very, very nice to hear. Okay, so I'd now like to move on to probably the most important. It's the corporate structure. And one question, with all the experience that I've had, and I work for a French company, the same as you, by the way, Continent. I was the first Continent director 45 years ago in Germany. So, and the management style was very, very different, I felt, with the French compared to the Britain. I would always say, I would compare it to say that the United Kingdom, and I would say Germany, very much had head offices, whereas in America and what I've seen in France, there was much more of store support center. So where are you going to go?
Well, first, I think cultural differences are probably one of the most fascinating topic. I think you need both. You need great store operation, and you need to empower the store manager, and you need fantastic somehow warriors in the store to run your operations. And at the same time, you need expertise at the center. When you think about big data, or you analyze your data, or you run a loyalty program, or you do a great merchandising, or you do a great pricing, you can't do that only store by store. You need to have IT, you need to analyze all that. So I think all that is a balance. I don't believe in the full decentralization or full centralization. I think all that is, you need a balance. You need to empower always your store team so that they can react locally. At the same time, you need to have expertise at the center, to create a kitchen private label, and it's probably one of the most complex projects. It's years of design, engineering, sourcing in Asia, quality audits, rolling out in stores. All that should be done centrally to support the store. At the same time, the customer-facing action, in my view, should be kept at local level.
Yeah, I very much like that answer, because in my experience, all the years that I've been in, I've seen so many people on the front line not really being brought into the discussions as well as I think, and I think there's so much reserves there if you're listening to everybody.
And maybe John, on that, probably one thing that we are as a team here the most proud about is that we launched last year all colleague share plan. It was September last year. It's a share plan where every colleague in the store, it was open worldwide from Shanghai to London. Every colleague in store, in sourcing offices, they could buy a Kingfisher share, and we will match this buying. It's a kind of buy one, get one free. And so with a low threshold, so that it's not made for the bosses, it's really made for the staff. And we have had a fantastic take-up, because over 12% of the worldwide staff, they apply for this program. So I think for me, the best answer to many of the discussion we have, if the store staff themselves, they believe in your strategy, they believe we are moving in the right direction, up to the point they are buying the company shares, they become your shareholder. For me, this is probably the best achievement we have done in 2020.
Indeed, and that's amazing. And look at your stock price. Look at your share price now. It's 80% higher than what it was when you arrived. That's an amazing leap. So if you just announced a while ago, powered by Kingfisher, and it's been going a while. Can you just explain a little bit what powered by Kingfisher means?
Yeah, thank you for this question, John. I think I would say at the center of this strategy for me, the fact that we have very different banners, and somehow we are very lucky to have different banners. I don't believe the world is coming one single customer proposition. On the opposite, I think the fact that we can have different customer proposition is a big advantage. And at Kingfisher, we have big boxes like B&Q and Castorama. We have a discounter, or even I would qualify a hard discounter. Brico Dépôt is a home improvement hard discounter with totally different animals. And we have Screwfix or TradePoint in the UK that are format dedicated to the pro. And I think we are very lucky to have that. So when we have those differences that can address different customer proposition, we need to cherish them, to protect that, and even to increase the difference between those different banners. And the group is the power inside. The group is all the power we can provide to those different banners. This private label, the IT, the people, the best practices, etc. But at the end, it's at the heart of our thinking. It's a fact that we have different banner, catering different customer, and we are lucky and we are happy to have that.
Well, I would fully endorse that. From my experience, I think it's the only way to really, particularly with the very strong brands that Kingfisher have as such. You have recently acquired Need Help service platform. Can you tell us how this fits in with your strategy? I think it's I think it's the right way to go, but it's very difficult to execute, I find. But
yes. Need Help, I would say first is a small marketplace. It's a startup. It's a company that somehow I could say it's a kind of Airbnb or Uber of the trade and the jobber. And so if you are a customer, you will post a job online and you will receive offers. And this platform is, let's say, monitoring, curating all this transaction. So we have been partnering with Need Help in France for 3 to 4 years, and it's one of our main partners. And having thought about it, we really consider we could extend Need Help across all our geographies. And we strongly, again, believe around ecosystem, services, and how we can put in the Kingfisher family an additional companies that provide us with more services, more solutions for our customer. It's fully online. So I can tell you that we have started already a few tests in the UK and in Poland. So Need Help not only is extending in France, but already started in the UK and in Poland. And we are very happy and very excited by this new project.
You mentioned, and I think that we all agree, that culture differences are very, very different. And what goes in one country will not apply to another. We've seen that with takeovers and things. I think in the UK, this would be very good. I would find this very difficult to work in Germany, but I know you're in Germany, so we'll wait and see what happens. Yeah. Okay, you've just recently, you're amazing, these compact stores. They're quick, they're convenient. You've opened up your shop-in-shops in the Asda stores. You've also opened two high street stores on a smaller scale, one in the design center. You entered the franchise agreement with this very reputable company in the Middle East to open up B&Q franchise stores. What do you see in these sort of compact stores? Where do you see the benefit, and how do you see it going forward?
Thank you, John. As I said a few minutes ago, we believe we probably need more stores, but smaller formats, because there will be a natural link with online operation, with click and collect, with collection points, even small dark stores. At the same time, we see around the world a retail trend. It's not only in home improvement. We have a kind of mega trend around smaller format. It's linked to demography, the size of households, the traffic in large cities. For all those reasons, we consider we should learn how to do smaller formats. So we open many new smaller formats with B&Q, with Screwfix as well. We are working on smaller Screwfix. We have opened stores in France, and we will do more tests in France, in Poland, in all our geographies. And I think it's very important to be able to learn how to do a more urban, compact proposition. And we are working hard on that. I think we are not still there. We still have to learn. It's not the same it's a different animal to operate the big boxes and 1,000 or 500 square meter stores. But we are organized internally to share the good practices between the different banners. And I think we are making good progress.
Well, you've certainly, when I came to visit you just after you joined, it was very interesting to hear you, and the way you listened and what you've achieved in this short time with you and your people has been amazing. Just to go over it, you've had an increase of sales of 7%, probably assisted a little bit by the coronavirus, but you've significantly increased your profits. You've increased the market share. You've revitalized your online stores. You've opened the smaller stores. This has been an amazing success, and I hope it does continue.
Well, I think, John, when you're in retail, you learn that things can change. So I consider we still have a lot to do. We still have a lot to do, and things can change in retail. It's an industry. You learn to be very modest because you have to restart every morning.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you've got an excellent website, and I've been looking at it, obviously preparing for this interview today. And the way you talk about responsibility, I've always said that my success in retailing was based on two things. That was one, passion to look after the customers, and respect for the employees. I think today I would extend that by two, by adding to do more for the community and also to preserve the planet. So, and this is what I've taken from your website.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Kingfisher has been now coming to Edra Gin. I mean, you've been in the pandemic, so you haven't seen a lot of our activities like the Global DIY Summit attended by over 1,000 people from 50 countries. You haven't been on a study tour. You haven't been to Brussels to meet the MEPs, the members of Parliament, European Parliament, the Commission. So I was going to ask you, I feel a little bit like the Queen who's seen many prime ministers. I've seen the Kingfisher CEOs, Sir Geoffrey Mulcahy, Jerry Murphy, Sir Ian Cheshire, Veronique Lowry, and now you. So, and they've all been board members, by the way. And as you're also great pleasure that you're a board member of ours too. So, what do you feel that Edra Gin brings to you as a CEO?
Yes, thank you, John. But first of all, very happy to be part of Edra and as well part of the board. I believe in being open, in open ecosystem, and I think first of all it's great just to be able to learn and to share good practices, you know. And today we are speaking about climate. I know we have that internal discussion around how we can prepare some of us to the COP26, how we can bring new ideas on global warming and climate, how we can share ideas around that. I think it's really great, and I think the more we are open, usually we think it's a weakness, but when we are open, we are usually learning, and that's for me very important. I think as well, sometimes it's important that some of our governments where we are, some of the countries where we're operating, they understand better the specificities of the home improvement industry. So sometimes it helps to have a voice for the industry to explain our specificities, the common issues we can have. At last, I think it's great to have a forum when we can meet people and to have common projects. So I'm very happy to be part of this group, and John, you can count on me.
Okay, well, that's very good news. Thank you very much indeed. Well, as you know, I've spent 65 years ago, I started in retailing, and I've seen a lot of changes. And I think one of the big things is always fascinated me, why is a company being successful and another not successful? And particularly when going in from one country to another. And I think culture, as you mentioned earlier, plays an enormous part. I remember Walmart coming into Germany, and they were asking customers as they came in the store how they were. And of course, the German said, well, what's it got to do with you? I don't know you. And so, you know, it just didn't work. But anyway, we've now got 15 minutes for a question and answer session. And I've got the first question, and we're back on time, from Rainer Sternad. He is in charge of the DIY International. Question concerning Kingfisher's withdrawal from Russia, but expansion to the Middle East. Why does it make sense to leave a mature market with a strong DIY culture and establish stores to expand into a region without such a culture and store portfolio?
Yeah, I think it's a great question.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, in Russia, we had no, let's say, no strong point in our operation. Unfortunately, you know, when you look our business model, the location of our stores, the competition around us, you know, we had no hope to be able to succeed. So, you know, I would not say I'm very happy to exit countries. You know, when you are in retail, it's always a difficult decision, but it's not only around the Russian market, it's as well your competitive position and let's say the strengths of your own operation. Therefore, I think for me, it was absolutely clear that exiting Russia was necessary. You probably saw that we have decided to stay in Spain and Portugal. And a few years ago, Kingfisher wanted to exit. We have made the decision to stay. We consider that Spain and Portugal, we are with Brico Dépôt. It's a strong discounter brands with a fantastic price perception in Spain, very profitable operation. And we consider in this case, we could have new plans and we have new ideas for this region. At the same time, we believe that franchise and managing with franchisee or master franchisee, it's a great opportunity. And you just heard me say that I believe in open ecosystem. I believe in partners and working with partners. In the Middle East, we are partnering with Al Futtaim Group, that is as well the franchisee of IKEA and M&S, for example. And therefore, we think it's a good partner for us. So that's how we look at those different decisions.
Mm-hmm. Before I come to the next question, I was going to mention to you essential retail in the UK really has been established. Was that a struggle or was that automatically accepted? Because in some countries in Europe, we've had difficulty. In Germany, the stores are being closed before Christmas. And although it's considered to be essential retailing, and I can't understand that, but how was it in the UK?
Well, I think it's indeed from the beginning it was considered as essential because all the topic because especially in the winter time you need to repair, you have urgencies. I must say that in some of our countries recently, in Poland, we had to close our store in Poland for 5 weeks. In France, we have had the regulation not on essential but on size. So we have had to close some of our stores when they were above certain threshold. So I understand well that situation is very different by countries and can be difficult for some of us. Yeah.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've got another question from Thierry from Belgium. How do you analyze the opportunity to create hybrid stores for professionals and B2C customers simultaneously?
Well, I think for me, probably the best example is our American friends. When you look at Home Depot and Lowe's, they are able to operate in the same stores for customer and for trade. I think at B&Q, there is a slightly different organization when you have B&Q and TradePoint, but in fact, TradePoint is a kind of counter, an area inside the B&Q stores. And I think we can learn a lot from probably our American counterpart on this. I think it's indeed feasible. Then when you look at Screwfix, it's a very different format, really dedicated to the trade. So I think in retail, you have all kind of different format and innovation. And I think we should continue to look for new innovation and new ideas as well in this field.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got now another question from Andrew. DIY International just reported on the launch of Screwfix online in France. What are the thoughts behind this?
Yes, it's true. We've started Screwfix a few days ago in France, a pure online operation. We have a fantastic banner in the UK, as well in Republic of Ireland. We have started Screwfix online first in Republic of Ireland, and then from 2019 starting to open new stores, and so far extremely successful. So we know the French market. We have a team, we have brands, we have supply chain, we have existing relationship with suppliers. And when we analyze all that, we really consider there were an opportunity in France to develop Screwfix. So we started with pure online operation, and let's see. We'll again, we are learning, but I think we are very excited by this opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Have we got another question coming here now? Thank you. Yeah, Oliver. So Andrew Weiss, who is the chairman of the Beta in the United Kingdom. What is B&Q's position with speaking with UK trade associates such as Beta in the UK, especially regard to encouraging DIY?
I think B&Q has an active discussion with many of its suppliers. We are, especially today, with in this pandemic world, with a lot of high demand. We are really engaging in probably on a weekly basis with some of our suppliers to align our forecast, to try to understand how the demand will be in the coming months, to manage together sometimes the containers and the transportation situation. So I think B&Q in the UK has extremely strong relationship with suppliers, but happy to have any, from this gentleman, happy to have any feedback offline if he has any messages or recommendation.
Okay. Now we've got another question from Young. As you said, younger generations are taking up DIY, some for the very first time. Are you doing anything in particular to market towards this age group?
Yeah, I think it's a great topic, but I think all of us, we are working on that, how we can engage with them, how we can engage through social network, through videos. There are many as well on prices, because we need to keep our focus on the value for money. So I think in all these areas, value for money, social medias, engagement with the younger generation, I think it's an area where we should do more in the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I've got now some final questions from myself that I would like to ask you, Thierry. How do you see the future going forward? Do you see this mini boom in DIY enthusiasm continuing?
Again, in the 2021, obviously you can guess I would not comment for obvious reason. Mm-hmm. What I believe is there are two long-term supportive trends for all of us. The two we mentioned before. First is more working from home. Again, I will not predict how much more, but we'll definitely have more working from home, and more working from home will be a very strong supportive trend for our industry. And the second one is the recruitment of new DIYers, especially the younger generation of DIYers. So I do believe that because of more working from home, because of this new generation of DIYers that coming to us, probably will not keep all of it, but will keep part of it. I believe it's a medium-term supportive trend for our industry.
Again, I read yesterday the Home Depot, whereas they used to have these workshops in the stores, maybe for a week or so, they're now going digital. Do you see the opportunities? I mean, it could be an enormous opportunity to have something like a B&Q online thing for people to tune into. Are you doing that?
Totally agree. I think probably we are doing some of it, but that's typically things we could do more, especially for the younger generation. For example, today, another area, we have created a dedicated team to sell kitchen online, with kitchen design tool online. I think it's interesting as well, this kind of initiative.
Uh-huh. The second question was, you were in China for 7.5 years. What can we learn from the Chinese? And what do you think the Chinese can learn from us?
Well, I think it's a country that is surprisingly very open to change. They are more a kind of addiction to change. It's opposite what you can imagine or you can feel in some of our countries. And therefore, it's because of this acceptance or openness to changes, a lot of things are going very fast. You know, the way people are using mobile to order online, to pay in stores. That's the first thing. But what I remember is a lot of positive energy, you know, kind of vital energy. And a lot of things around done better than perfect. And we discussed that before, how we can do fast things, get it done. It's not perfect, but I can improve later on. And that's probably, I learned a lot myself. I didn't tell you, I am coming from an engineering background and sometimes wishing to be absolutely perfect before launching your project. And if you do that in China, you can't survive, you are too slow. So you have to learn, you know, when we speak about agile ways of working or sprint, somehow you have really to learn that, to be able to learn projects faster, to do the 70% very fast every morning. And then every day you look what is your 70% key priorities, more or less on a daily basis. And that's very interesting learning.
Yeah, if you had a crystal ball and you were to look in the future, in 10 years' time, will home improvement stores be more interesting to shop than they are today? Or yeah,
definitely. I am an optimistic, so I think I believe the future is bright.
Okay, well, Thierry, we're coming to the end of this interview, and I have one question. You've been the CEO of Kingfisher since September 2019, 20 months. What has been your major challenge?
Well, I'm not sure it's challenge. I would say what is probably the most important thing looking backward is I have a great team, you know, people that were already from Kingfisher, sometimes unchanged position, and people that we recruited from outside. And I think we have a fantastic team. And I was probably lucky to have the team ready in February last year before the pandemic started. And I think probably the other area is, you know, you mentioned culture. You know, sometimes there is this famous sentence that say, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yeah. It's not totally true because you still need a strategy, but I think it's very important to set the culture. And when you are a freshman in a new company, you can have some impact on that, and that's probably something that is very important for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're coming to the end of the interview. We always like the CEO to have the last word. Is there anything you would like to mention at all? Yeah.
No, I would say I hope we will be able to meet very soon, all of us, in a face-to-face environment. So I really looking forward to meet many of the people around this call, because unfortunately it has not been possible the past months, and the same for you, John. Happy to meet you soon.
Well, thank you very much. And for anybody who's still watching, not still watching, I'm sure you're all watching still, this interview, do stay on if you haven't seen the video of Kingfisher, which we'll be showing there. And I mentioned the website, and what I liked about we at Kingfisher, our purpose is to help make better homes accessible for everybody. I think that really explains what all we are trying to do. And I think we're in a wonderful business, a wonderful occupation. Helping people to improve their homes, I think, is a very fine thing. We've heard Kingfisher looking after the community, looking after the customers, looking after the planet, and had in this short time amazing success. So Thierry, I wish you continued success, and I also very much look forward to meeting you again.
Thank you, John.
To all
See
those
you very
people who
soon.
watched us, thank you. And for all those people, good morning and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, John. Bye-bye.